Hi, welcome to Kevin Alone's audiobook reading Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Part 3. Bethune was very different. He understood that beyond the structure and systems, a company is nothing more than a collection of people. You don't lie to your own doctor, he says. You can't lie to your own employees. Bethune set out to change the culture by giving everyone something they could believe in. And what, specifically, did he give them to believe that could turn the worst airline in the industry into the best airline in the industry with all the same people and all the same equipment? In college, I had a roommate named Howard Jeruchimowitz, now an attorney in Chicago. Howard learned from an early age about a very simple human desire. Growing up in the suburbs of New York City, he played outfield on the worst team in the Little League. They lost nearly every game they played, and not by small margins either. They were regularly annihilated. The coach was a good man and wanted to instill a positive attitude in the young athletes. After one of their more embarrassing losses, the coach pulled the team together and reminded them it doesn't matter who wins or loses. What matters is how you play the game. It was at this point that young Howard raised his hand and asked, then why do we keep score? Howard understood from a very young age the very human desire to win. No one likes to lose, and most healthy people live their life to win. The only variation is the score we use. For some, it's money. The others, it's fame or awards. For some, it's power, love, a family, or spiritual fulfillment. The metrics is relative, but the desire is the same. A billionaire doesn't need to work. Money becomes a way to keep score, a relative account of how things are going. Even a billionaire who loses millions due to the poor decisions can get depressed, although the money may have zero impact on his lifestyle. No one likes to lose. The drive to win is not, per se, a bad thing. Problems arise, however, when the metric becomes the only measure of success. And what you achieve is no longer tied to why you set out to achieve in the first place. Bethune set out to prove that everyone at Continental that if they wanted to win, they could win. And most of the employees stuck around to find out if he was right. There were a few exceptions. One executive who once held up a plane because he was running late was asked to leave. As for 39 more of the top 60 executives who didn't believe, no matter how experienced they were or what they brought to the table, they were asked to leave if they weren't team players and weren't able to adapt to the new culture that Bethune was trying to build. There was no room for those who didn't believe in the new Continental. Bethune knew that building a team to go out and win meant more than giving a few rah-rah speeches and bonuses for the top brass if they hit certain revenue targets. He knew that if he wanted to build a real, lasting success, people had to win not for him, not for the shareholders, not even for the customer. For the success to last, the employees of Continental had to want to win for themselves. Everything he talked about was in terms of how it benefited the employees. Instead of telling them to keep the planes clean for customers, he pointed out something more obvious. Every day they came to work on a plane. The passengers left after their flight, but many of the flight attendants had to stay on for at least one more trip. It's just nicer to come to work when the environment is cleaner. The tune also got rid of all the security on the 20th floor. He instituted an open door policy and made himself incredibly accessible. It was common for him to show up and sling bags with some of the baggage handlers at the airport. From now on, this was a family, and everyone had to work together. Soon focus on the things they knew to be important. And to an airline, the most important thing is to get the planes running on time. In the early 1990s, before Bethune arrived, Continental had the lowest on time rating of the nation's 10 largest airlines. So Bethune told employees that each month Continental's on time percentage ranked in top 5. Every employee would receive a check for $65. When you consider that Continental had 40,000 employees in 1995, every on time month cost the airline a whopping $2.5 million. But Bethune knew he was getting a deal. Being chronically late was costing it $5 million a month in expenses like missed connections and putting passengers up overnight. But most important to Bethune was what the bonus program did for the company culture. It got tens of thousands of employees, including managers, all pointed in the same direction for the first time in years. Gone were the days when only the brass would enjoy the benefits of success. Everyone got their $65 when the airline did well, and no one got it when the airline missed its targets. Bethune even insisted that a separate check be sent out. It wasn't just added to their salary check. This was different. This was a symbol of winning. And on every check, a message reminded them why they came to work. Thanks for helping make Continental one of the best. We measure things the employees could truly control, Bethune said. We made the stakes something the employees would win or lose on together, not separately. Everything they did made people feel like they were in it together, and they were.